I wanted to talk about the realities of love and relationships. And maybe they are slightly depressing, but I think once we can really accept this stuff, we can start to see the truth behind why it is that we are attracting what we are. So I think, put quite basically, the majority of us are showing up in our wounds as the parent that traumatized us the most. So most of our traumas are the parent that had the biggest impact on our being. And a lot of the traits about ourself that we struggle to love and accept are the ones that a parent demonstrated to us in childhood. So if we had a parent who punished us a lot, and we know that we have punishing tendencies, chances are that we can't accept that about ourselves, because as a child, that was what prevented us from receiving unconditional love. Or if, for example, we had a very judgmental parent who made us feel really insecure as a child, and now we've grown up and we can't help but be quite judgmental of ourselves, of others. This is probably a trait of ours that we struggle to come to terms with. Maybe we don't even want to accept it or look at it. So, put very briefly, I think that we usually show up in life with our traumas as our most traumatized, the parent who traumatized us the most. And then we date the other parent in terms of trauma. So often we are showing up as our mum's wounds and we're dating our dad's wounds. Parent, partner, there really aren't too much differences other than we have sex with our partners. But really, I think a lot of us are attracting through our parental wounds. We think we're attracted to the things that we love, but are we? I know a lot of girls who would say, I like a bad boy. Really, what really is that? That's probably you just saying, I like emotionally unavailable people who can't really love me because I was never loved or given emotion as a child. So I think we have to recognize what's really happening. And maybe on first meet, that bad boy seems like a really nice guy who's giving us all the words we wanted to hear. But I think that when we start to realize we're attracted to our wounds, we're not attracted to, oh, he's so nice. Like, we might be telling ourselves that. Generally, we attract our wounds, not the things that we want. We attract the things we need to grow through. And the more we grow through the things, the less wounds there will be to be attracted to. So I think it's like a balance. Definitely earlier on in my life, I would be attracted to very wounded people. And I feel like as I've healed, I'm attracted to less wounded people. Wounded, hurt, we all are. But I think we have to recognize that and we have to see the realities around that stuff. Like love, I think a lot of us use love as an excuse. We're like, oh, but I love him. I know it feels like that, but I think a lot of the time it's not love. I think a lot of the time it is purely attachment, again, based on our childhood. It's all about your childhood. And I think unless we're willing to do a bit of inner child work, we're probably going to get stuck in that place for a long time. And it's quite a miserable place to be. So I think inner child work is really powerful. And if I was going to recommend a journaling practice that can be really powerful if you want to start doing a little bit of work around inner child stuff, I invite you to create a space. Make it intentional, make it nice, light some candles, like make an evening of it with yourself, and get get a pen and some paper and write a letter addressed to your inner child. So mine would start like, Dear little Holly. And in the letter, write all the things that as a small child you needed to hear, the things that were your fears, your blocks, your insecurities. Like if someone had have come into your life at a particular age, like we might all have an age that comes up for us, whether it's like 5 or 10, like an age where we felt really hurt maybe. And if some wonderful person was to come into our life and tell us all the things that we so desperately needed to hear, what would those things be? And And you can be that person for yourself. So we can't change our past. We can't change the way that we were raised. And we will have stuff that we need to work through, but we can be our own parent. Like, I can reparent myself because I still have an inner child who has needs. And when you can start to look into that and notice, when am I coming from my inner child? Sometimes we can really feel that. Like, sometimes in arguments, especially in conflict, I can feel myself become very childlike. And I think a lot of us can recognize those behaviors. Like, am I coming from an adult state here where I'm calm, or am I just being a big child? And rather than judging ourselves there, this is just the wounding of our inner child. And the more that we can connect with that child and really love that part of ourselves, the more that we can heal it. And then we can stop coming from that space. We're all adults, and some of us are old, but a lot of us aren't grown at all, because growth doesn't just happen. Like, we grow old, but we don't grow. Like, to emotionally grow as a human, we have to intentionally do some work. And people are very resistant around sitting down and doing the letter to themselves. Like, they're the things people don't do. You're like, oh, well, I've listened to you talk for 15 minutes. Like, that will help. I'll go away now and get on with my life. Like, no, you have to do the work. Like, you have to sit with yourself and do some of this stuff. And even if it sounds like generic stuff, it's powerful. Like, writing letters to yourself and creating intentional spaces to heal is what heals us. So yeah, I'd suggest that you do that practice and see what it brings up for you. And it's one step towards a little bit of healing so that you're going to attract something better into your life.